Hi there, I'm Mila Sipka, and this is the Apatros review. Now, before I continue with this review, I should point out that the reason I've been kind of delaying the upload of this video is because in the last couple of days or so I've been playing games and learning how to use DOSBox on my computer. I downloaded that and I'm downloading a bunch of MS-DOS games. Hopefully I'll review those games in the future. Anyway, now for this review, I'm reviewing this Hard Rock Zombies, which was also known as Heavy Metal Zombies. This is the only DVD release of this film so far, or at least according to DVD Compare. I only came across this film by accident. It's a very obscure film, and I came across this by accident in 2018 at the flea market. I'll explain more later. This DVD is actually from Blue Laser Films. It's the only one of their films I've actually encountered. Now that film was an American production, it was theatrical, and it was released in West Germany on the 28th of August 1985, and then in the US in September 1985. I was actually a few months old by that point. Anyway, 1985 was my birth year. Now, the director of the film was Krishna Shah. I don't know what nationality he is. I think Indian or Pakistani. I don't know. You can check on IMDb if you can. And it stars Ernie J. Curcio, also known as E.J. Curse, as the hero, Gina Andrews, Sam Mann, Mick McMains, Lisa Toothman, and Phil Fondacaro. Now, the disc, I should point out it's an anti-6, and it's multi-regional, so you can play this on any DVD player in the world. And it's in 133. It looks like it's pretty much a straight VHS rip, or old film reel. English dual mono, and no subtitles. And the only supplement is the cast and crew list. Now, one of those extremely strange movies that could only have been made in the awesome 80s, this bizarre abomination of a rock and roll music video extended to feature length was originally meant to be a 20-minute short film designed as background filler for another film, but the director figured he could get two movies filmed by simply splurging a little more cash up to extend this. It was one of the worst zombie movies of the 1980s. The film concerns the macabre adventures of Holy Moses, a stereotypical mid-1980s hair metal band. As far as hard rock goes, these guys' music is so soft they make the likes of Europe sound like the likes of Slayer, who arrived in the small redneck town of Grand Guignol, where they are to perform for a do-or-die audition for a music company talent scout. Why did he pick that town? I have no idea. Only to find themselves offed by a cult of, let's just use the euphemism, Yahtzees. Pretty much easy to figure out because YouTube has this thing about that particular word. Led by the Big H himself, having faked his death and preparing to retake the world. Although his infamous speech skills seem to have deserted him in old age, by gassing the town through his gas chamber hidden in a nearby cave. But the band aren't finished quite yet, since their frontman Jesse, who seems to have an unhealthy pederastic infatuation with a 15-year-old girl that he writes a song for, which you get to hear in full at least twice during running time, had the foresight to record an audio cassette, remember those? And a song with lyrics he took from a mysterious book that had the ability to resurrect the dead. His underage girlfriend playing the tape of their graves, and Jesse and the band return to life as pasty-faced zombies with theatrical makeup on that makes them look like Kiss wannabes. They promptly get their revenge on the Yahtzees, but don't realize that anyone they kill becomes a zombie, leading to a zombie plague taking over the town, all the while the idiot locals pass a stupid law banning all music, their pathetic lack of knowledge proving their undoing as the zombies take over the town. Now, while fans of cult cinema may get a kick out of this, and by the way, a fellow YouTuber, Brendan Tennant, actually did a really funny video on this as part of his Brendan's cult movie reviews, which you might want to check out. It's actually really funny. The fact is, this thing is just plain wretched. The story feels exactly like a 1980s music video extended with the disjointed visuals and the threadbare story, leaving more loose ends than the viewer will be comfortable with. The film has no reservations about broaching our subjects that was somewhat questionable at the time, but now in today's woke and highly sensitive world will be almost untouchable. The presence of Yahtzees, along with their epically evil leader, the inappropriate relationship between the frontman and the young female fan, the climax where all the zombies are dispatched by gas chamber. The B plot of the film, using disreputable information to justify banning all music in that town, was also something I found distasteful. The town meeting feels mighty wrong, with several women getting up to the podium saying things like, "My Reader's Digest says the musicians can't play single notes, writing notes they eat drugs," and claims about hidden messages in music and being inspiration for self-abuse, in other words, masturbation. It feels about as legit as that ridiculous period about backwards masking, the notion that heavy metal music when played backwards contained devil-worshipping occult lyrics. Utter bullshit. As for the drugs, consuming drugs doesn't actually help you play music better, but it's only consumed for partying purposes. A lot of musicians at the time pretty much, even now, pretty much took drugs to excess, but, you know, to be honest, unlike those idiots in that town meeting, the reality is drugs aren't helping play music, and I don't think Reader's Digest ever mentioned that. The acting is limited. Oh, sorry. I should point out that as for the I feel that these small towns with their moralistic preaching only wind up causing younger people to desert the way of the church instead of bringing them closer. Same kind of false morality that they did in Britain with the video nasty era. Now the acting is limited, or for the actors given very little material to work with. Or for given this type of film, the actors do a reasonable job sometimes, and an appalling one at other times. The movie is just plain garbage, and so far been obscure for a long time, with only the Vestron VHS released back in the 1980s, and the Blue Laser Films DVD in the early days of the DVD era. Like I said, this is the only DVD set for this film. I'll be surprised if this actually makes it to Blu-ray. Now, the music ranges from the passable, instrumental that opens the film, to just plain whacked, the song Cassie, which, like I said, you get to hear twice. That being said, even though I consider this film to be utter garbage, at least it does have a glimmer of decent music to it. Like I said, that instrumental used to open the film, quite a banger. And the makeup effects, courtesy of John Carl Buechler, a guy who was an expert in makeup effects for cheap, were decent for the budget. Also, this film has its share of weird shit. If you ever wonder what would happen if a zombie midget literally eats himself, then this film will answer that question for you. You've got to admire a film so inept that the director misspells his name in the closing credits. Now, Hard Rock Zombies bangs out a tune to the sound of D-, 1 out of 10. It is a terrible film, but for bad movie masochists, this might be worthy of inclusion in your bad movie marathons. Now, for gore nudity, even though this film does have, well, makeup effects with an IA style, it's not really that gory. Whatever gore that does appear is muted considerably. Severed limbs, a little blood here and there, and the sight of a zombie midget eating himself to death. I mean, literally eating his whole body, to the end point where his skull eats his face right off. As for nudity, Lisa Toothman appears nude on a couple of occasions, once in the beginning, which is shot at a very far distance, so you really can't make anything out, even on watching this on a high definition TV. Even upscale, you can't see much. And also during a shower scene, which looks more like a cheap riff of Psycho, which you get to see breasts, but not really that much detail. Now for the DVD, this was released in the United States on an obscure cheap DVD from Blue Laser Films. This is the only disc in that label's catalog I've actually encountered, and I only came across this in the local flea market back in 2018. This actually appears looks like it was made maybe the early days of the DVD era, like late 90s. Wait. Oh, sorry, 2004. That's when it was released. Still early days, anyway. And to be honest, the picture quality isn't that great. I mean, the print is dirty at times, has some blocking on show which makes watching on a HD TV a bit of a pain, given this is a straight up VHS rip. But to be said, VHS rips don't have to be that bad. I mean, I've converted some of my videotapes to DVD, and I used SP mode, which is like 2-hour mode. Realistically, you can only feel like about 1 hour 50 minutes on the disc, and that quality is actually pretty decent. It's good quality. But personally, if I wanted to put 2 movies on a disc, I would have to use EP mode, which is like 4-hour mode. Well, more realistically, more like 3 hours and 45 minutes. Which, I mean, that's probably the best, second best option. Anyway, now for this particular print, like I said, there's a bit of blocking on display, compression, artifacts. The color timing can be clunky at times, and the soundtrack sounds tinny at times as well, and has a pitch changing places. There's only a cast and crew cut for a supplement, which almost looks like an Easter egg, because it doesn't look that particularly obvious due to the design of the menu. Okay, and by the way, if you want to get this film, it's multi-regional in NTSC, so you can play it at any DVD player in the world. Okay, that's it for that one. Hard Rock Zombies gets a D-, 1 out of 10. It's terrible, but like I said, if you're a bad movie masochist, this might be pretty decent to watch. For the pain. You can pretty much heckle the crap out of this one. Be very easy to do MSD 3K on this one. Okay. Now, I do not do requests, but if you want to know of a particular question, films in my collection, or if you have any questions about DVDs, I'll be happy to answer. Okay, I hope you guys are staying safe. Take it easy, and that's it for this review. See ya.